What I want to do is first to introduce our first teacher. And this teacher is Ms. Joan Atienza, who is a Senior Associate Instructional Design and Development Unit at SEAMEO INNOTECH from the Philippines. And the topic is how to teach your students successfully through KEEP technologies. Just as a reference, SEAMEO is an intergovernmental agency of Southeast Asian countries aimed at cooperation in the areas of science, culture, and education. There are a total of 26 SEAMEO centers located in different Southeast Asian countries. INNOTECH, located in the Philippines, is focused on research and capacity building programs in the area of educational innovation and technologies. INNOTECH has been developing online courses for educators since 2006. The partnership with KEEP facilitated its implementation of MOOCs beginning 2017. We are very privileged to have Ms. Atienza joining us to share her story and how she used KEEP. Many of you on the call right now have probably taken many of their courses. And so without further ado, can I invite Joan to share your experience?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Allow me to share my screen. So Bo has given you some background about my organization. So I'm going to skip to right on to sharing our experience as far as developing and implementing MOOCs in partnership with KEEP. We have actually been doing online courses since 2006. The topics mainly we cater to teachers and school heads. The topics would range from facilitating teaching and learning, change management, supervision, leading education in times of emergencies, and many others. These types of courses that we have started doing in 2006, we refer to them as flexible learning courses. And the way that we would implement them is we would have a batch, for example, of 500 learners coming from a particular region in the Philippines, for example. And we would divide the learners into classes of 15 learners per class, and there will be a tutor or a faculty who will be facilitating the discussions. The materials are pre-made because we've already made them, but the role of the tutor will be to facilitate the discussions and provide the ratings to the learners. So this is the type of online course that we started doing in 2006. Now, from 2006 up until just before we started doing MOOCs, we have managed to roughly cover 17,000 learners, meaning teachers and school heads, in this span of time. But the question remains, how can we further expand the reach of our courses? And so in 2016, we began looking into MOOCs as a way to possibly cater to more educators throughout Southeast Asia. It was also the time that we first met the KEEP team. So we went to the Chinese University of Hong Kong, to the office of KEEP, talked with Bo and Professor Irwin and the others, and we looked at how we might use KEEP as the platform for our very first MOOC. So in 2017, we launched our first MOOC, and it was about passion for teaching. Now, why the topic? Not many institutions are actually working on developing courses on the art of teaching. Most courses would be on the science of teaching. And so we thought that to create a differentiation for our MOOC, we would engage in the art of teaching and passion. Passion is sometimes assumed that people will automatically have it, but really it's something that we thought is necessary. So we ran a beta version of the course. We entitled it Igniting Passion for Teaching. And then the full-on course we launched in 2018, we named it Teach On, Keeping the Passion Alive. So we made this open to all teachers. It's kind of a hop-on, hop-off course, meaning you can enroll whatever your motivation is. You're not required to complete the course if that's not your intention. And the pilot, which is Teach On Keeping the Passion Alive, when we launched it in 2018, we managed to get 4,349 learners. And at that time, it was already the biggest course that we've ever had in a single course run. So after the successful pilot of our very first MOOC, we then developed in partnership with an external organization. It's a German development agency called GIZ, as well as the Philippines Department of Education, another set of MOOCs. This time it's about water, sanitation, and hygiene in schools, or WINS. So the Leading WINS course, this is basically an overview course about the project, because at that time, most schools in the Philippines, more than half of the schools in the Philippines, have not met the national standards as far as water, sanitation, and hygiene in schools is concerned. And so this course is intended to encourage more schools to move up as far as the standards are concerned. The Leading WINS MOOC is intended for school-level coordinators of the project. The Accelerating WINS MOOC is intended for division-level coordinators of the project. Then we also developed a course entitled Becoming a Better Teacher Every Day. This course is really empowers teachers to take charge of their own professional development using our own competency framework for Southeast Asian school heads, something that we've also developed as an anchor. So the teachers in this course, they assess themselves against that competency framework and develop a plan of action on how can they further or improve on their professional development. So in that short 3 years, beginning from the time that we first launched a beta version of our course on passion for teaching, we've done those 5 courses. We have managed to do 13 course runs, and we're happy to share that even in such a short time, we have actually already achieved our goal of expanding the reach of our courses. We have so far covered 49,911 educators, both in the Philippines and other Southeast Asian countries as well. If you compare this with our first data that I shared earlier on the first 11 years of doing the online courses, which is 17,000, this is roughly triple that number, but in a shorter period of time. So we're really very happy with this result. So our MOOC journey so far is that we have now developed this new institutional competency for our center. We have started developing MOOCs, not just for ourselves, but also for our partner institutions. And we have also been conducting capacity building on MOOC development. We have been providing technical assistance to many different institutions who would like to do MOOCs. And in this MOOC journey, I would say the key platform and the key team has been like the vessel that allowed us to sail in this journey, with the features of the platform that are easy to use, the necessary features that we needed for our courses, for the design that we have. It has been a reliable and robust platform. At its peak, our flagship course had 12,000 learners, and KEEP managed to hold this number of learners for us. And we're also very thankful for the very responsive technical and administrative support that the team has been providing us, even though we are in the Philippines. No, you're far away from each other. They've been very reliable in giving us the support. So thank you very much to the KEEP team. And there are many insights that we've learned in that short span of time. And then I needed to pick out what would be the highlight of those in terms of maybe best practices or major insights that we gathered. One is really looking at the context of the learners that we are catering to. So for example, our courses, we have decided to make them self-paced. Why? Because we cater to educators. And you know how educators, teachers, and school heads, they would always say they're busy, they're doing a lot of things in school, even at home, you know, their parents, they're catering to their children, their respective families. And at the same time, most in Southeast Asia, particularly in the Philippines, don't have 24/7 internet access. In fact, the Philippines, we have actually one of the slowest internet connections in Southeast Asia. So looking at that context, we want to give the teachers more opportunity to take on the course by making it self-paced. And because it is self-paced, they're better able to manage their time in terms of taking on the course, and at the same time manage their internet access. The courses that we do are relatively short, roughly 40 training hours, but we make them available for 2 months. So in that 2 months, they should be able to do all of the course requirements. Number 2, we made the course open to all. As I've said, it's a hop-on, hop-off course. You can enroll whatever your motivation is. You're not required to complete if you don't want. Of course, better if you want to complete the course and get a certificate. And this actually catered to teachers wanting to take charge of their professional development. Because in most cases, for a teacher to take on a course, they have to be nominated or selected by their superiors, and give them permission to take on a course. But because the course is open to all, they just have to want to enroll in the course. It's really just out of pure self-motivation that they will enroll in the course. So this really provided more opportunities for our teachers, access to quality continuing professional development. We have also decided to make the course available for free. Most teachers or educators in the Philippines, our course would be their first ever experience in terms of online learning. And by making the course free, available for free, it's kind of a relatively risk-free way to try on something new. You know, the Philippines has a very unique internet profile. We're number one in terms of time spent on the internet, but that time is mostly spent playing games. So there's kind of a shift needed in converting that thinking of using the internet for games to actually using it for education. So making the course available for free encourages more people to try on online learning. Second major insight that we would like to share is the need to create connection. Sometimes online learning can be impersonal, especially in our course that is self-paced. There's actually no live session. There's no live video conferencing session. So all of the materials are already there and pre-made. So it can be sometimes impersonal. And so what we've tried to do is to really create that connection with our learners, even though there's a lot of them within the course. Number one, we've capitalized on Facebook. Facebook is very popular in the Philippines. The Philippines is actually the number one social media user in the world. Despite the fact that we have slow internet connection, we are the number one social media user in the world. So we've really capitalized on that. We actually market our course on Facebook. So we run a Facebook page parallel to the courses that we are doing as a form of marketing. Second, we've also used social media, particularly Facebook, to provide the learner support. So all of the questions coming in from the learners, we respond to on Facebook. So this is where we put some of our staff to respond to the questions that are coming in from the learners. We have also used social media and Facebook to do what we call nudging. Earlier, Professor Ye talked about competition among students. So we sort of try to also create some competition amongst our learners who are teachers by doing what we call nudging. We would take screenshots of activities that are happening in the course, and we would put them on Facebook, to say that, oh, this is what's been happening in the course, in the hope that it will encourage the teachers to do the activities more, to further do more of the activities. And we found that is a very effective way, because once they see that being on Facebook, they want actually their post to be part of the screenshot. So we do that little nudging and use social media to really create that connection. Of course, on top of that, we would have regular emails to the learners, like 1 week prior to the start of the course, we would send them an email. A day before the course, we would send them an email. On the first day of the course, we would send them an email, just to let them know that there's really somebody out there who's looking after them and who they can talk to. We're also big on trying to create value for our learners. While we have made our courses available for free, the teachers and the educators who are enrolled in this course are actually paying for it by their time, the time that they might rather spend for their families or for their work. And so we want to make it worth their time by adding more value, not just in terms of the quality and content of the course. So if they complete the course, they get an international certificate from SEAMEO INNOTECH, international SEAMEO INNOTECH being an international organization. Second, in the Philippines, every 3 years, the teachers have to renew their license. And as part of renewing their license, they need to earn credits, training credits from training programs. if they enroll in our course, they already get all of these credits required for them to renew their license. And we have also been recently accredited by the Philippines Department of Education as a provider. And so when they finish also the course, they get points for promotion because the certificate has equivalent points for them. So these are some of the things that we've done to really create more value for our learners, no, who are participating in the course. And overall, all of the efforts we think has translated to the courses having a high completion rate, particularly our flagship course on Teach on Keeping the Passion Alive. Even if it's an open course where the learners are actually not required to complete the course, we've seen very high completion rates, higher than normal, between 20 to 37%. And remember, the learners do not feel there's no consequence for not completing the course. You're not paying for it, you don't get punished for not completing. And so we're very happy that they're actually completing the course out of their own self-motivation.
Hi, Joan. Sorry to give you a time warning. We do need to end in the next minute.
Yes. So what's the future for us? We will continue doing more MOOCs, particularly on the art of teaching. We will be sustaining and expanding the reach of our current pool of courses, and we want to retain KEEP as the platform of choice because we're very happy. I know that they're also looking after our own best interests. Now, in the course on passion for teaching, there's this quote that kind of everyone's talking about. When you lose your why, you lose your way. And in our case in SEAMEO INNOTECH, our why really is our vision of a better future for every learner in Southeast Asia. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joan. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing. Our next speaker, so again, if you have any questions, please fill out the Q&A. And then if you have a question for one particular panelist, please put their name before your question so that we can direct the question to that teacher. I want to introduce Mr. Adam Forrester, who's the Associate Director of the English Language Center from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. The English Language Center at PolyU has created 10 open online courses on KEEP, ranging from job application skills to developing language and reading skills. We have designed our courses to minimize the number of clicks for learners, which makes it easier for students to navigate and complete and easier for instructors to integrate into their campus-based subjects. The English Language Center has found the online courses on KEEP invaluable in helping us make the transition to online learning and teaching. The ready-made content frees up teacher time to focus on more important communicative activities with their students. Please, Adam, go ahead.
Thank you, Bo. Let me just minute. Where's my PowerPoint? Here we go. So thank you, Bo. So I'm one of the associate directors at the ELC. My responsibilities include responsibility for all the credit-bearing subjects and also e-learning and pedagogical innovation. So we have 10 courses on KEEP at the moment. I'm going to talk about 9 of them. I'll be quick because I know we're running short of time. This symposium is all about technology for lifelong learning. We actually have a course called Learning for Life. All of these, if you look at the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner, you can go to a link to have more details about all these courses. I'm going to briefly talk about some of them. So Learning for Life is about learning languages for life. It's the idea that you can't just learn a language by spending a few hours in a classroom for a few weeks. You need to do, it takes time to learn anything, so you need to keep going back to it. We have a grammar course to upgrading your grammar to, it targets students with a weak grammar so that they can succeeding at English in an English medium university. We have an academic skills course, ASIL. We have 2 reading courses to encourage students to read more, because once they read more, they can learn more. We also have courses to enter the workplace, or even people who are already in the workplace, such as upskilling, as Professor King mentioned earlier. People who are in the workplace, they want to upskill, they want to get a better job. Our workplace courses are about developing an effective cover letter, an effective CV, how to succeeding job interviews. So how to search for the right job, how to understand the company you're applying for. In our advanced job interview skills, we have more about online interviews. When we first developed the course, of course, we didn't have there were online interviews, but that's really coming to play in the last year or so, where every interview is almost online now. So we have this wide range of courses on Keep. They're all about lifelong learning. We have them all self-paced. They're used by PolyU students, but also students in other universities in Hong Kong, and people also from outside Hong Kong. I know in our Upgrading Your Grammar course, we have a lot of students coming from the Philippines to join this course. So that's one thing we really like about Keep, because it gives us that flexibility. If we want a course, we do have another course which we only have PolyU students taking it. But if we want to open it up, we are able to do that using Keep. So we like the flexibility that we get from Keep for our courses. I mentioned, well, Bo mentioned earlier, one thing we do like about Keep is the way we can streamline the learning sequence. We've been using edX, and all our courses on Keep are using the Open edX. If you know edX, it has good points about its platform, but also there's sometimes many clicks, and that makes it a little bit frustrating for students to actually find the information. So what we've done is try to streamline our learning sequence on our courses. So in our English at Work series, like the job interviews, the CVs, cover letters, our unit structure follows this basic streamline. So before you watch, you'd have an interactive activity and a discussion question. Then we'd have the video input, like a 5-minute video or so. Then there'd be a summary activity, and then a discussion task. And the discussion task would link back to the first discussion question. So again, if you know edX, you'll know that the discussions can be a little bit problematic, but it's also a good thing because the discussions allow students to share knowledge, to interact with each other. But the discussions are not the best designed on the edX platform. And so by doing this, we've been able to, I think, use the discussions more effectively with students, so with our learners. So that's how we've streamlined the learning sequence on the platform. But then we use our courses in our PolyU subjects in a flipped classroom. So previously, we go back 2 years now, we were doing it, we have the face-to-face classes. So we'd use our Keep courses in our face-to-face classes, but in the same way using that streamlined learning sequence. So before the class, students would do the discussion activity, then they'd watch the video, then they'd do a summary activity, and then they'd bring that into the classroom to discuss further, to do maybe peer instruction in the class. So that we can do the more productive activities in the classroom. This has been transferred to the online classroom in the same way. So again, before the online class, they can watch the video, do the pre-video tasks, and then in the actual online classroom, we can have more discussion, more productive activities, more reflection, more peer instruction in the classroom. So there's also peer instruction tool within the edX platform, which enables you to have more interaction. As Joan was saying, we also do nudging in a similar way. So we get students to do the quizzes on the Keep platform, and then we'll have we can show the list of students, like the leaderboard, which students have done the most quizzes, got the highest marks, which ones are still at the bottom, who need to work harder. So it's kind of nudging students, using peer pressure to get them to do more, to work harder. There have been challenges. Certainly in the last year, we've had challenges as we moved to the online classroom. Like as Professor Yer said, it's keeping students engaged, keeping students motivated is a problem. It's a problem for every teacher who's had to go to online teaching in the last year. There's also technical issues. I know when I joined this symposium this morning, suddenly I saw different names, my name appearing with different people. I think, what's happening here? So there's always technical issues. We just have to accept them, I think. It's been a steep learning curve for everybody. Certainly the last year, how to adapt to online teaching, and for students, how to adapt to online learning. Learning environments can be a problem for everyone. So if you're teaching from home, you have to share that home environment with your family, with your children might be taking online classes, your partner might be working, having to do online meetings. So we've got to share that environment. But also, I talked about how we try to integrate our learning materials on our online courses with our credit-bearing subjects. That is sometimes successful, sometimes less successful, because we got some subjects which are already crammed full of materials, and so adding more online materials is not very helpful. We also have some teachers who are, let's say, more traditional in their style of teaching and less accepting to integrating online materials. Keep does help us meet some of these challenges. So certainly with the streamlined learning sequence we have, it helps to keep students engaged. It's easy for them to do it. They know what they have to do. They've got to do this first step, second step, third step before the online class, and then it's very easy for them to follow. But it's also easy for teachers. It's an easy platform to build materials. If you're just using the materials, it's easy for the teachers. So the streamlined learning sequence helps us to get more teachers using our materials. Also, we've been, as Joan also, again, what Joan said about the technical support and the capacity of Keep, we've been very happy. I don't recall any downtime with Keep, so it's very smooth operation. So we're very happy. It helps us keep students engaged. There are very few no technical issues, and it helps us to integrate the learning materials. Learning environments, well, that's an issue for everyone. I don't think Keep can help with that. So looking forward, like we're certainly planning to continue using Keep with our current courses. We're looking to expand the number of courses. So we have another English at Work course about online presence. So how you can, for example, showcase your LinkedIn profile to get a job. But we're also further ahead, we're looking at how we can more about workplace writing. So how we can have courses about that. That's still in the pipeline though. As Professor Yeh was saying, gamification is something we're very interested in, and we want, like, certainly if Keep have plans to add more gamification into that platform, we'd be very interested in using it. It's something, it's a tool that we can use to keep students motivated, keep students engaged, I think. If you're interested in joining any of our online courses, there's the link at the bottom of the screen, elc.polyu.edu.hk MOOCs, and there's more details about the courses and a link for each of the sites. As I said, they're open to anyone. They're all free of charge, and that's another benefit of going to Keep. We're welcome anyone to join them. They're targeted at probably older teenager, first year undergraduate, most of them, although the workplace courses can be for anybody. And if you're interested in contacting me, there's a QR code at the top right, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening, and thank you very much for Keep for providing this marvelous platform, which we really enjoy using. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. We appreciate again your just incredible contribution with all of the courses and content that you do provide, and I think it's been a huge benefit. We really enjoy working with you. So thank you again. Again, if you have questions in the Q&A, please direct them to Adam. Just put his name in the parentheses, and then you can ask him the question in the Q&A after the session. I want to now go to Hong Kong Baptist University with Dr. Teresa Kwong. She is the director for the Center for Holistic Teaching and Learning. And just a brief introduction about her presentation is, due to the recent changes of the educational landscape brought by the unprecedented challenges, online mixed mode learning and teaching, has gained more popularity than ever before. Apart from the adoption of a small private online course, it was deemed necessary to incorporate more e-learning elements into the course, which is entitled Teaching University Students, so as to reach a wider community of research postgraduate students and teaching assistants from countries across the globe. Students benefited from the opportunities to interact with and learn from their local and overseas peers, while the instructors could bring in more internationalization elements to the university. And so without further ado, let me introduce Dr. Teresa Kwong.
Thank you very much, Bo. First of all, thank you, Erwin, for inviting me to share at this COP. Let me share my screen. Okay, I guess I do not have to speak a lot of the advantage of using Keep, because the previous two speakers highlight the good things of the Keep platform. That's the reason why I will share with you what we have done so far using the Keep technologies, as well as highlighting how we engage our students using mixed mode teaching, particularly during this pandemic period. So what have we done? Our connection with the Keep project, actually we have been with the Keep since the last triennium. I think the first thing we develop is the web-based annotation sharing platform. We call it 1.0 because it facilitates the collaborative annotation and multi-level categorization of web-based information and construction of artifacts. This should be launched in 2015 or so, or might be before that. And indeed, for the Keep 2.0 project, we keep on working on our online courses. And these online courses we have is 2 courses for new teachers, but we call it small private online courses instead of MOOC, the massive open online course. And recently, we found that it is more important to facilitate the flipped learning and flipped classroom. And we actually, Adam's talked about, touched about a bit earlier, is how we integrate the the online course with the credit bearing course, and we link the online course with our existing credit bearing courses. And I would like to use an example that in my course, which is for research postgraduate students, how we can make use of this kind of small private online course to facilitate the learning of our students. The course I'm teaching is the Teaching University Students, which is mandatory to all research postgraduate students. And it provides an introduction to the basic theoretical knowledge and practical skills required to begin teaching at the university. We have students from different parts of the world, and we also invite students from outside HKBU, students from Singapore, Nanyang Technological University, students from India, from Marian College, and also students from the Philippines, the Silliman University, to join our course as well, because we found that it is important for our students to mingle with students from other universities because of the SPOC and also the mixed mode. And we found that in the past we have only physical classes, and then during the social movement, we changed it completely to online, and at the beginning of the pandemic, we completely online. And since the last September, we moved it to mixed mode learning and teaching. And we found it actually is very, very conducive to students learning, because while some of the students who can come back to the campus, they can work with students who are joining online from different parts of the world. And of course, during the class time, we not only have one-way teaching, but we have a lot of different activities. I will talk about how we engage our students in these like mixed mode teaching, because it's, we found it very important. Because we have the sport, we can like at least have students do some preparation before class, and during class time we can have more interaction, and that's how we motivate our students to engage. And we found that this kind of mixed mode teaching and learning can enhance cross-cultural and cross-disciplinary collaboration, because our students can co-learn with students at other institutions. I said that we have students from India, Singapore, and and the Philippines as well, and also across the globe, because at HKB we have students also from Pakistan, Kazakhstan, from also India, Russia, and like all parts of the world. And we can find it like, while some students are actually joining like in person in classroom, we have students joining online, and I taught like in the physical classroom, and I have also a collaborator like co-teaching with me within the same classroom. You know, only if we like this kind of like this pandemic catalyzed this change. And I never thought that the four parties, like the students in person, the exchange students or international students, can join online, and then I also have a collaborator joining in at the same time. So this is something that I really think that this is like very good. And also, we also encourage the remote collaborations in cross-cultural, cross-disciplinary teams to solve complex global issues. How we do it is like, I encourage our students to mingle a lot, like on the SPOC online platform, either FutureLearn or Keep, because we use two platforms for the SPOC. And then during class time, they can do some projects together, multidisciplinary and multiculturally. So, but how can I like motivate them to do it? Like, of course, we have to start by having some extrinsic motivation, to be honest, of course. We like slot 35% of the total course grade for participation, because we found that it is actually very important. If we do not have high percentage or high weighting for participation mark, and then we emphasize on both synchronous participation via, like we have the synchronous session via Zoom. I use Zoom. Some of my colleagues, like in other courses, use Cisco WebEx, but then I use Zoom. And then also the asynchronous participation on the spot. We also count the completion rate. I just like show you the description. This is a rubric, part of the rubric, okay. I just show you the excellent part, okay. They have to join the spot and completion rate for 90 to 100%. We also have like different quiz tests like within the SPOC, so that we can also monitor students' understanding. But this is also all formative. All those quizzes and tests within the SPOC are for formative purposes, it's not for grading purpose, but their participation is more important, because we encourage them to respond to one another's posting on a particular topic. And we emphasize a lot that it is not just a summative exercise. It is for the participation, it is more formative. And that's the reason why within the asynchronous and synchronous environment, we help to give a lot of feedback to our students via different means. Of course, we have the Moodle as our learning management system. Okay, we use FutureLearn plus Keep for the online materials. That is the SPOC, where they can find the discussions. They can do the discussions, as well as the watch the videos and some articles as well, and also the quizzes. And then for the Zoom is like that is the synchronous session is our, like I sometimes do polling, speaking exercises, and I use Kahoot, Quadrates, and Mentimeter's quizzes as well. And summative, likewise, I count their participation for the quizzes, not what are the marking or the final grade of the quizzes. I only count their participation. And then for Zoom, also the participation as well. And I just would, this is my last slide. What I would like to show you is the participation of our students. Like over the years, we try hard to make sure that what overseas students joining in our course. These overseas students, that is non-HKBU students who joining in our SPOC. In the past, like in 1819, we only have like 10% students like from other universities around the globe, but now we have around 30%. Consistently, we have around 30% of students from joining our SPOC from around the globe. At the same time joining with my Baptist University students in the same course. So and we found that because of the our encouragement to participate in the discussion, we found that our students actually like post quite a lot in our discussion board to mingle with one another. And when I interviewed them, they said that it is very good to have the SPOC because they can, first of all, before the class, they can mingle a little bit about their ideas, and during class time, they can like further discuss their projects. So, and I found that this is very important if we can like link up the SPOC with credit bearing course and make it a real flipped classroom. And that's all my sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kwong. We appreciate your sharing. Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Kwong for HKBU. Thank you so much. And lastly, but not least, we will turn over to the Chinese University of Hong Kong. We have, and apologies if I do not pronounce the name correctly, but Mr. Alexander Kling and Mr. Florian Tack, who are both lecturers, German lecturers in the Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages. And just a brief overview of their project is that the German program at the Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages has been using Keep Moodle as an integral part of its courses for several years in order to complement face-to-face classes by online activities. Therefore, the presenters would like to take the opportunity to give a general idea about German Moodle course structure, present a variety of Moodle activities, and also give ideas about how to combine online and face-to-face teaching with Moodle activities. We're very excited to hear our last presenters for the day. So please, Mr. Tack and Mr. Kling, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So first of all, I would also like to thank the organizers for having us here today. I have not prepared a PowerPoint presentation for my part, but I will use my sharing function and I will show you the things that are important to understand what I want to talk about. So first of all, I would like to say that I have both tried Blackboard and Moodle. So both learning management systems are offered at CUHK. And I would say that Moodle is much better because it provides more interactive elements and it just looks much better than, in my opinion, than Blackboard does. And about the importance of Moodle for our courses. So for our final grade, 50% are allocated to homework. And homework is completely done on Moodle. So basically 50% is based on activities completed on Moodle. And 35% are for a final exam, which is an oral exam. We decided not to have any written exam because otherwise it would be very complicated with lockdown browser and so on and so forth. And our language courses are elective courses, so nobody is forced to do them. And that's why we thought we make it as simple as possible for the students. And we thought an oral exam would be quite suitable for language classes. Now, talking about the general course structure. So this is an example of one of our Moodle classes. So this is a second language class. So at the top, we have some general learning information and the course outline and other helpful information. And then for every course, we complete 7 units, usually for every course. So you can see here unit 8, and then we have unit 9, and so on and so forth, 7 units. And in every unit, you find additional information, resources where you can learn, you can complete tasks, and you can also find the material. And then we have mandatory tasks that are completed by every student. And these tasks are of very different nature. You can see we are using the quiz function, we are using the assignment function, we are using the forum function, we are also using the polling function, and we are using a lot of things. And I would like to share a few examples with you. They are all obviously linked to language learning, but maybe you can also take some elements and think about how you could apply them in your own subjects. So the first thing I would like to show you is this one. So this is another German course. And here we had a task talk. The students were asked to write about their eating habits. And for this purpose, we used the forum function. And then we gave some instructions here. They are in German, it doesn't matter. So it was about eating habits. And then we asked the students to post their texts. And this is what came out of it. You can see a lot of different posts. And we also asked the students to comment on each other's posts. That's why we didn't do as an assignment, but in a forum. So everybody can see what is happening and everybody has a chance to comment. And just to show an example, so we also asked the students to provide photos to make it more interesting, because if you only see written text, it might not be very interesting. And you can see the student actually wrote that she did the photo by herself and uploaded it. And then we had the different discussions. So this is one of the good things about Moodle. As I said before, it has interactive elements, so every student can participate in the discussion. Now, about how to combine these online activity or this particular online activity with classroom interaction. So once I received all the texts, what I did was I used a website called ZoomPad. So this is a website where everybody can work together. So it's basically like a shared Word document, but internet-based. So I copied all the text into this page, and then I brought it to next class. And I gave out the link to everybody, and all the students could join this website. And then their task was to read the texts of each other and correct them. So I paired them up. 2 students had to work on one text and they had to correct mistakes, because learning psychology tells us it's much easier to find mistakes in a different text than in your own text. So, and this is what then came out. So students corrected things, they crossed something out, they wrote comments on the right-hand side. So this was a way to reuse the text that the students basically wrote as an assignment, more or less, to reuse it in class. And I think even if they did not check their own text afterwards, the corrections of their own text, it still might be helpful for the learning if they paid attention to mistakes people did in other texts. So this would be one example of how to use Moodle to even include it in classroom teaching. Another one is designed as an assignment. So this topic is about police. So you have been, something has been stolen from you and you have to go to the police to report what has happened. And the assignment is done the following way. So in the beginning, you have the scenario, something got stolen, you are at the police. And then you find an audio file here. It's me, I recorded an audio file with 10 different questions that might occur if you go to the police, like what happened, when did you realize something was stolen, and so on. And then to solve this, this task, so they have to listen to the questions and then they have to answer. Now, about the answering part, I put something here that is called memories. So that's what their memories are. And for language class, it is often helpful if you do not provide text that they just have to read, but you provide pictures. So what I did was, on the left-hand side, I marked the number of the question. And on the right-hand side, I give the information of what they are supposed to answer. For example, the first question was like, what was stolen? And they have to say it was a bag, and the bag contained a wallet and a phone. And like this for 10 questions. And their task is to make something out of these memories and ask my questions. So in after every question, there's a pause that gives them some time to answer the questions. So when they have recorded this part, they just upload it on Moodle. I think it's quite creative because it's also very authentic. And I hope the students will not only feel pressure, but also have some fun, because I put a lot of effort to make it look more or less appealing. So this will be a second. This is about communication, how to train communication on Moodle, because Moodle cannot respond to you, right? But I can create some stimulus for the students to react. And then maybe one more example. So this is a German conversation course, So in class, we recorded some dialogues. So we worked on a dialogue and then they did a recording. They uploaded the recording again in a forum so that everybody can see the uploadings. So it was always pairs or groups of 3 people. They did a recording of a certain audio. And then when they uploaded it, I told them which group should analyze which audio. So the second task, the actual homework, was an assignment where they were supposed to analyze each other's audios in terms of pronunciation, grammatical mistakes, politeness, grade of politeness, level of politeness. So this was our resource, and then they had to click on this assignment, and then there was a feedback file here with some information what they should pay attention to, and then they listen to it, they make some notes on this worksheet, and then they upload it. So I can see that everybody has done the homework. I'm not grading it, I'm just now noting down that everyone has done it. And now we are getting to the next class. In the next class, I will pair up the students. So the people who have analyzed the same audio file, they would meet in a breakout room in Zoom, and then they would discuss what they have found. And after they have discussed what they have found, they would meet with their fellow students whom they analyzed, and they would tell them, like, we found this and that. We think you should maybe improve this one. You should pay attention. There was a grammatical mistake here and there. And then the students were asked afterwards to do a second recording of the improved, like with the improvements. And then they uploaded the second version already here. And then it was my task to listen to them and give them feedback. So what I really like to do is to have students assess each other, not for grades, but for the learning, for the collaborative learning. And I think Moodle is a very good tool to do this. Okay, I think my time is almost over. So I would just like to briefly mention our next project is also a SPOC, just like was previously mentioned already. We are going we want to set up a completely automatic SPOC course, so that the student can do it whenever he wants to, wherever he wants to. He can start when he wants to, and he can finish whenever he wants to. So this would be then fully automatic. Yeah, that's the next topic we are planning. And by this, I would like to say thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Will Mr. Kling, will you share anything, or is that the end of your presentation?
I would like to add some more examples and basically continue with what Florian or Mr. Tuck just said. And
okay.
so,
can we keep it to maybe one or two examples, since we are running a little bit out of time?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Let me share my screen. Okay, so so one thing that I wanted to also show you is, you know, like we have a like H5P in our classrooms, and for example, I used it here to create like a memory, right? You can also underlay it with audio, so you click on the
Die Bibliotheken,
and then you try to match it, and you can play this memory in class, or you can give it as a homework, and then they can just click on it, like in when they're home, and then practice by themselves. And I mean, like HP5 just like has this advantage that you can do like interactive videos, right, and interactive presentations and quizzes. And so we have a few of those like activities like in our class. And yeah, maybe let's use that, like we don't have that much time, so let's go like have a quick look at here at this course. What we have here is where is it? Oh yeah, so like here, I don't know, can you see this? I've used Padlet to put it into Moodle, and like this one was like a task with students. Like we had like talking about like prohibition and mandatory signs, and about like what you have to do, what you mustn't do, and so on. And this one was student was just about like to create their own signs and create their own like things that are allowed in the city or that is not allowed. And this is a good thing to do, because I think that it also caters like students like daily routines, like doing like the social networking, Facebook. So it looks kind of the same, and they're quite used to work like in like with programs like this. So this is just like one example. Like here you see that someone created and draw their own sign, and yeah. So this would be like two things that you could also do with the Moodle classroom. So do we still have more time, or is that already enough?
Yeah, you can share one more example if you like.
Okay, so Florian, I think, mentioned that we have like our overall grade is like 35% of the overall grade is like the oral exam. And here in like chapter 18, we have like because we think it is really important that a student know the format of our exams. So here in this one, it's the task is that they also in the oral exam, they need to have a monologue. They need to talk for about 30 seconds to about 1 minute about like a topic given. Like, so this one would be like, what do you want to become later? We give them some keywords that they can use. They don't have to use. And here in this one, they just need to like speak as freely as possible, as fluent as possible. Don't write down any script, and then record like this 1 minute and upload it here.
Sorry about that, Alexander. We interrupted your last example.
It doesn't matter. It's fine. So like, let's just say it's okay. So don't worry. Let's just leave it there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause again for Florian and Alexander. We appreciate so much your sharing, and we sincerely apologize for the technical issues. Let's go into the Q&A, and then we'll have our closing remarks and finish off with our session today. The first question is, in your experience, what differentiates really good content from really bad content in terms of contents directed to an online audience? So I know many of you shared your examples, but could you give us some factors or criteria that differentiates what's good content versus bad content for an online audience?
Difficult question.
Yes.
I would say, just in our case, it's really something that you think is appropriate for the design of the course. So for example, in our course on passion for teaching, it lends itself so much to stories of passionate teachers, because you can't have like, okay, if you know 1 to 10, then you become a passionate teacher. You don't do that, right? Based on the topic. So since the topic lends itself very much on stories, that's the approach that we did for that particular course. So I think, you need to find something that is appropriate for the content that you want. That's it.
I think it is also like you have to be clear yourself that what are the outcomes of the like online course. Like if you have a very clear outcomes, then of course you have to make sure that your content will like can help your students achieve those outcomes. And of course, you have to strike a balance to not to put too much content in there. And particularly, you can have more steps, small chunks, small pieces of like information every single step, instead of having all the information in 1 or 2 steps. And from time to time, you have to add in like interactive activities as well.
Yeah, smaller chunks of information, shorter videos, and each video having like a takeaway. So, and then a review of like an activity to review that video. Yeah, that's good advice.
That's great. That's really helpful. One other question is kind of related. There's been some indication that most MOOCs, most online courses have quite low engagement rates. Around 5 to 10%. Even 10% is quite good. How do you deal with that? How do you increase the engagement for your students without requiring one particular assignment for a grade? You know, aside from, you know, using the grades to, you know, use the stick against people, how do you motivate people to engage with such low engagement rates online?
Bo, if I may, since I've shared, our completion rate is pretty high. And I think we owe that to really providing learner support, trying to make that connection to the learners. Because if it's online, people want to know that somebody's actually reading their discussion forum posts, their postings in Padlet walls, you know. So I would go, for example, to the extent of, you know, to commenting on some of them, encouraging them. That's why we also do the nudging on Facebook. So really trying to make that connection encourages them to move along in the course.
Yeah, I agree to what you just said. So if it is a forum discussion, I would usually also post something myself. And if it was a video, I would also record a video, and I would almost always try to put some funny elements into the video so that the students have fun. And I guess it's always interesting to see a teacher also in front of you doing something funny. So yeah, that definitely helps with motivation.
Trying to personalize the learning. So yeah, interacting with the students, the learners individually by replying to posts. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Same here. We have to show our presence, like by responding to their posts. I think this is important. And of course, like Florian said, like the video, we have to show our face sometimes. Yeah, to let them know you are there.
Great, those are really helpful suggestions. One last question before we go into the closing remarks is, how did you learn as a teacher how to develop online content? Were there communities that you were part of? What's the best way as a teacher who is not as familiar with the process to get started? Do you have any resources or communities of other practice that you're able to learn from? And how can some of these teachers get connected?
I learned by joining other online courses and seeing what other people were doing, what I think they did well, what I think could be done better, and then I did it by practicing and developing a course, getting feedback from learners, feedback from other teachers, revising the course, updating the course. That's how I learned. By doing it. How do you learn to be a teacher? You do it by teaching and getting feedback from students, and same thing.
Yeah, exactly. As Adam, like I joined some like online courses myself first to experience it, and then I will find it like as a student when I joined it, like, oh, what things I think it is like I don't quite like, then I won't do it in my course. And what things I think, oh, this is good and very engaging, then I will try to do it. Of course, like from time to time, after several runs of the online course that I have, then I modify, like from time to time. Don't think that you don't need to modify anything. You have to modify.
Yeah, I would like to share. So before I joined COHK, I never worked with Moodle. It was completely new to me, and I was like, why should we use that? Does it really help? Because I'm not too much of a digital tools fan. But then I started to realize like what the benefits are. And then I had Alexander, who has been working with Moodle for a lot of years. So it was quite helpful to get his tips of how to do something. And as Teresa said, every semester our course looks slightly different because there's always something you change, something you approve, something you kick out. So yeah, every semester there's something new.
Yeah, and I want to add that I also, like in 2007, so quite a long time ago, I had my first teacher training on how to conduct online and blended learning classes. And I have taken part in many teacher trainings, how to develop courses, content, how to tutor those things. So this was many trainings. And then of course, like you'll adapt and learn and change things over the years.
And if I may add though, open yourself to feedback as early as the design stage. Pitch your design to your colleagues, to other people, you know, have different, even before you do the materials, pitch your design to others and get feedback.
All right, great. Well, thank you again. And we'll just give one more round of applause for all of our sharing speakers. And thank you so much. We really, really appreciate all of your insights. And I think it's been such a helpful time for many of our attendees and other teachers who are also looking to start their own courses, get involved in online, and also potentially use the Keep platform.